Are Tesla and SpaceX faking it? Is this footage here CGI? Are they doing it all for a PR stunt? Well, I'm going to test the theory in full in this video. So first of all, I wanted to test the theory itself, that a company would fake the advancement in science in order to get the PR from it. Well, it's been done before by a company called Hanson Robotics, who created this robot called Sophia. Basically, there's a YouTuber called Bits Bytes Bops that basically argued the point that Sophia is essentially fake.
Now, I hate to break it to you, but Sophia is a fake, a fraud, an animatronic puppet with a scripted voice, pretending to show emotion through some very unnerving and dodgy animatronics, and through heavily scripted demonstrations. AI is nowhere near to the point where Hanson Robotics claim.
So by saying that you've invented a miracle or somehow brought science fiction to science fact, you're therefore helping the brand and making very good PR. In the case of Sophia, of course, you still had to make a very expensive animatronic. Of course, it's not as good as what Disney produced in terms of animatronics, but it's still, at the very least, an expensive animatronic. In the case of this, you're either going to have to make a load of CGI models or somehow film this in a way that presents itself as real. You've also got to have the rocket footage, all the actors and all the PR guys in order to fake it properly. Now, it doesn't have to be necessarily fake. In the case of Sophia, the product that they were selling to market the brand was essentially still there. It was just exaggerated to the point where it was a robot given its own status in Saudi Arabia, and there was many news reports about it being somehow thinking for itself, thinking apocalyptic thoughts for itself, things like that were exaggerations of the truth. In the case of this, the exaggeration of the truth is the fact that people have linked this project with going to Mars. Now, of course, the rockets do help us go to Mars, but of course, a mission to Mars presents many other problems. So if I play two pieces of footage for you, I'm hoping you guys can easily guess which one's real and which one's fake. This is the first shot, and this is the second shot. It's pretty obvious, right? Which one's real and which one's fake. So the first shot was from the movie Gravity, and the second one is actually real footage of from the ISS. Now it's obvious you can tell which one's real and which one's fake, because in the real footage, obviously you got shaky, very badly filmed stuff, whereas in the movie footage you've obviously got some very long sweeping angles. But also in the quality of the video itself, in the real footage the blues are much more vibrant, the exposure's much more overdone, and the level of colours as well, even though we can see a full range of colours. In the CGI footage, it's almost like it's been deliberately enhanced to give a kind of rainbowy effect on the Earth, whereas in the real footage we mainly just see blue and white. I'm going to test you again, but this time I'm deliberately going to make it a lot harder. So you got this one. I'm deliberately going to give you a lot more time to decide this one as well. Or this one. Well, I can reveal that the one that you're watching now is the fake one. This is CGI. How can we tell it's CGI? Well, partly because the footage is zoning out as we're watching it, whereas real footage tends to be in orbit. Again, the colours, just by looking at them, seem more realistic to the real world, whereas the colours in CGI seem to be toned to a particular colour palette. So now that I've trained you all in being able to decide if the Earth is CGI or not, we're going to take a look back at the original Tesla footage. So the footage is a very well placed shot, which does mislead people a little bit, because obviously in movies we're used to seeing very good sweeping shots of the Earth, and this shot is very similar in that. But we can tell from looking at the exposure on the car and the person, and just looking at the Earth itself, look at those blues, how plain they are, but also how exposed and how reflective, how those reflections are showing so clearly on the Earth. I believe that this is real footage. Of course, it doesn't rule out that this footage just could be a model in a shop or a studio with some lights moving around it and a screen, a video of the real Earth behind it. But you wouldn't spend hours live streaming that kind of footage if it was recorded in a studio, if it is currently streaming even in a studio. I just wouldn't see the point, the expense of doing that for hours and hours and hours on end, forever. It just seems strange to me, unless you believe that the live stream that they've got showing is constantly on a loop. But to me, I think that this as a project is real, but I do believe that it is on the same level as Sophia in terms of hype. I think really we've just put a car into space. I don't see the US government funding a mission to Mars anytime soon. Sorry about that, not because of scientific reasons necessarily, but because of political reasons and because of the logistics of actually being on Mars once we get there. Even if this experiment is true, proving that we can get a bigger payload up into space, we've still got to work out the journey itself from here to Mars as well. And that's, again, another big scientific issue. So, yes, if this is true, we are making progressive steps. But again, I believe that the hype around it is, it's as realistic as what we are. I'm very cynical about this. Not from a realistic standpoint, I actually believe that this is real, but from a scientific standpoint, from the scientific claims that the media are starting to make about it. The truth is, wait and see. I think it's remarkable footage at the very least, and I think it's a remarkable mark of achievement for the humankind. I'm just trying to talk as long as possible just to let you enjoy the footage itself. If you like this video, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll try and make more videos like this in the future. And join in the debate below as well. Here's an afterthought. What if the guy inside isn't really just a mannequin at all? What if he's a dead man? Da da da!